got a new installment in our Freedom to Flourish series sponsored by Koch Industries. Imagine working in a position where you need a license to operate in the state you live. Every time you move, you're faced with more fees, tests, and paperwork. This is the reality for military spouses nationwide. The current system is not only expensive, it's also discouraging the spouses of service members from working at all.
3 years ago, Amsa Heck was an award-winning real estate agent in Philadelphia. When the U.S. Air Force Reserve moved her husband John to a new base in Virginia, Amsa assumed she'd easily be able to sell homes again near her new home.
I thought we'd get here and I'd hit the ground running and build my real estate clientele up.
Amsa was told that the Virginia and Pennsylvania real estate boards have reciprocity agreements that would enable her to easily transfer her license, but no such luck.
After being ping-ponged between the two boards, the end result was that I needed to take all of my courses all over again in Virginia.
She also had to pay again to pass 2 exams and purchase insurance again.
That was very demoralizing, to feel that I'd built up a career and some stability to contribute to our family income, and then to come here and not be able to get anywhere for months.
Amsa is far from alone. Thousands of military spouses face a maze of red tape with differing licensing requirements around the country. Ed Timmons heads up the NEE Center, which studies the negative effects of occupational licenses.
Those who are in the military often move more than the rest of the population, and their spouses might find that their licenses don't transfer when they move.
Timmons says excessive licensing impacts hundreds of professions in the U.S. by creating unnecessary employment barriers while increasing prices for consumers.
Hi, Ashley. Thanks for taking that call for me earlier today.
Amsa, who's expecting her 3rd child any day now, eventually found her dream job at Blue Star Families, a national support group for military families.
I love working with Blue Star Families and being able to help other spouses get access to programs and licensing opportunities.
Bye. Have a good day.
And her husband's happy she found a workaround to all the government red tape.
As my wife, gets a lot of personal satisfaction out of seeing my career advance and seeing how my career, I get satisfaction out of seeing her career advance and seeing her make those goals and achieve those goals.
Kathy Roth-Duquet joins us now. She is a military spouse, she is an attorney, and she's also CEO of Blue Star Families, an organization founded by military spouses, and they work with more than 1 million military families every year. Kathy, we're so glad to have you with us.
Really appreciate you taking on this topic.
Of course. So talk to us about the work that Blue Star Families does.
So Blue Star Families exists to make life better for military families. We tell the story of the things that people are experiencing, and we create solutions with partners in communities where military families live so that we can keep doing this job for the country.
So you're really responsive to whatever needs are brought to you, essentially.
That's right. We do an annual survey. We release it in Congress. We get our data. We have military spouses who are research professionals who do that, and we take that information and we find out that isolation and economic insecurity, that's really hurting our military families today.
Can you give me some sense of the numbers or percentages, whatever data you have off the top of your head when it comes to how many military spouses are able to get jobs that are civilian in nature with the military versus having to go off base and just find something out there in the broader economy?
Sure, the vast majority work off base and in fact live off base. Military families now don't live on installations. 80% of them are in our communities and they're in every zip code. So most of them actually are unemployed. They're not working.
And is that by choice or is that because of some of the hurdles like what were outlined in the piece?
So most surveys show over 20% unemployment rate for military spouses actively seeking work in the last 4 weeks. And we have a national unemployment rate of about 3.9%. So it's terrible.
Is that because, is a big part of it that they have to move and therefore they can't establish the kind of professional roots and connectivity to the broader professional community that folks who tend to stay in one place a little bit longer have? Is that the biggest challenge?
That is such a big challenge. It's the moving, it's being far from family and friends, and it's the requirements of this military lifestyle that give you, we had 1 week's notice once that my husband was going to be gone for a year. Wow. If I had a regular job, it would be very hard to keep that while making all the arrangements to take care of that. We had one of our members our research director, who had 3 weeks notice to move overseas. So people lose their jobs, and then getting started again, the licensing makes it that much harder.
What is the solution with the licensing issue? Because obviously, I mean, we have a federal system, states can do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Are there proposals for how we can smooth that process for military spouses in particular?
I think there's a number of opportunities to make a difference. One thing would be, there's a National Security Act that lets state laws become federalized. For instance, that's how we got around the payday lending laws that affected military people. We were able to use the National Security Act to affect that. If you're moving on government orders, I think that you could say it's a national security requirement that military spouses work, because Americans, middle-class Americans, working-class Americans, actually need 2 incomes. So this loss of the second income is really crippling for our military families.
Oh, absolutely.
And it makes them not be able to continue to serve.
And also contributes to that social isolation that you're talking about.
So
if you're
much.
moving to a new community, you don't have an established network. At least if you have a job and something to go to, you have a group of people that you immediately get plugged into.
Yeah, those two things really go together. And I experienced that myself. I'm an attorney. At one point, we moved 9 times in 15 years. We were in 3 continents, 4 countries, 5 states. And that's very hard to not only keep a job going, but to keep connections and relationships going.
Is there any initiative underway to use telecommuting more for military families? Do you work on that? Is the virtual economy more a part of what you're doing day to day?
It really is. We have a terrific tool called Spouse Force that we ask spouses to enter in their education, their credentials, the way that they want and need to work. Often that's remote work. And then we can shop those abilities to companies. If companies have remote work, if they have flexible work hours, we can give them these highly credentialed and educated employees who are loyal, ready to go, and try to look for solutions there.
Kathy, thank you so much.
Kathy, thank you. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Coming up, cockroach milk is a thing that people drink.
No.
Apparently.
And a GOP representative channels his past career during the tech hearings. The video is amazing. We'll explain all that before we go.